I'm Carter Kalkofen. This is my community walk for TE-341. Today I chose 3 locations from my place in Shelby Township. I chose the church I go to, St. John Vianney, my high school, Lutheran High School North, and a restaurant up the street from me called Miguel's Cantina. And here's the walk. So for my first location, I chose my local church, St. John Vianney. I go here every Sunday, which is when I'm filming this. I just got out of church. They would not let me record. They didn't want me recording in there, so I respected their wishes. But yeah, this was my first location that I chose to do for my walk. So at St. John Vianney, I've been there for a couple years now. There's a large group of people that, large different cultures, a lot of Chaldean, a lot of whites, just a lot of mixed people. There's a lot of, a ton of different cultures and stuff. Obviously, I don't talk to everyone, so I don't know the amount of languages that people speak, but just looking at people, obviously you can't do things for looks, but looking at people, I can see that there are people that speak different languages. It's a place that I feel like a lot of different cultures build. All different cultures are comfortable. Yeah. So my next location I chose was my old high school, Lutheran High School North. They're closed today. It's a Sunday. There's no school, so I wasn't able to get inside the school or anything. But I know the school. I've been there. I went here all 4 years of my high school. They did not really, we're not big on recording, so I don't think they would have been for this situation. My high school, Lutheran High School North, I think a large amount of it was just white. It was white kids, there's a lot of Asian kids, some black, some African American students and stuff. So there was a decent amount of races that went here. But as far as language went, the Lutheran North kind of taught Spanish, German, and I think that's it as far as languages they taught for educating us. But there was some Hispanic students who spoke both English and Spanish at my school. I do remember that. A couple close friends of mine spoke a few languages. So I was familiar with some multilingual and bilingual students at my high school, Lutheran High School North. Good school. I think personally for a high school, I think they do pretty well with multilingual or educating students in multiple languages. So I think they're pretty good at it, but obviously I think more schools need to continue to build up their programs. So yeah. My last location that I chose for the community walk is a restaurant right up the street from my house. It's called Miguel's Cantina. It's a Mexican place. It's pretty, there's a lot of people that tend to eat there. It's fairly popular. It's obviously, I was saying before the video got cut off, obviously it's a Mexican restaurant. It's a large amount. It actually does serve a pretty big Hispanic variety of people, but there's a lot of white people that go there too. They serve like tacos, quesadillas, nachos, all stuff like that. Just kind of what you'd expect from a Mexican restaurant. It's fairly popular. They are not open right now. They open in about an hour, I think. And in the past, I've actually seen it. I don't think they really are open to people recording in their restaurant, which is normal now. I think a lot of restaurants are the same way. You gotta get permission, which I don't think I'll be able to get permission today to just record in their restaurant. So I've been there before, big fan of their food. The waitresses and the hostesses all kind of speak Spanish, which is kind of cool. Obviously, I don't speak Spanish. I'm not fluent in it. That's what I took in school, but wasn't really too good at it. But yeah, that's Miguel's Cantina. That's my third location for the community walk. Thank you. Okay, reflecting on the community walk. Yeah, so for the first question, it was what ethnic and or linguistic groups are in the community surrounding your placement school? Where did you find evidence of this? Okay, so I did a deep search online to find around my community, to find the ethnic groups. I found this on a website, the United States Census Bureau, which is very trustworthy. It's a .gov website, very trustworthy. And in that, the ethnic groups, the prominent ones are kind of Asian, African. It's mostly dominated by white people, I would say, is the large group of people who live in Shelby Township. But yeah, I found those, like I said, on the U.S. Census Bureau. Yeah. For number 2, what languages are most important in the community surrounding your placement school? How did you know? How is it similar or different than your own language practices? The ones that I found, the ones that are important in the community are largely English, like I said, being that it's a prominent white community with a growing increase in different groups of people. English is a big part of it, but there's also different languages, like a lot of Asian languages like Mandarin. Mandarin is very popular. Spanish is also very popular because growing up here, you kind of hear all the languages around your community. I've lived here for a pretty good amount of time, and you kind of hear it all. I've heard Spanish, I've heard a lot of English, I've heard Mandarin, I've heard a lot of it. I've even heard German. It's not as popular, but I have heard German in my community before. So yeah, you just kind of see that. And then growing up in school, you're taught kind of Spanish. Mandarin was big in high school. Spanish was kind of in middle school and stuff. But you're also taught, those are the big ones that are taught to you. So I think those are the more prominent languages that are being kind of placed into people's vocabulary, I guess. And how is this similar or different from my own language practices? I kind of think it's different because for me, like, this language is something that, like, a majority of people do speak in America is English. So for me, it was kind of the big language that everybody was kind of speaking and understanding. So for me, I think it's a lot harder for them because if they're speaking Spanish, Mandarin, German, whatever language it is, it's harder for them to, I guess, relate to people when they're speaking their language than it is for me, because a large part of my community is speaking the same language as me, where theirs really isn't. Where can I find resources in the community for students' home languages? You can find those at libraries. There's books there. The internet is really good. You can literally type in anything you need on the internet, and there's always going to be something. So yeah, those are big resources that I think will be really good for anyone that's trying to learn a language, trying to learn a new language, build on what they are in their current knowledge. And the most accessible one immediately, I think, would be the internet. You can literally grab your phone, computer, anything, if you have that stuff, and just type in anything, like I said, and find something to help you. And I think the least accessible, just in this situation, because the internet is so important now, would be going to the library and getting a book, and reading it on the topic, because some of those books are outdated, very hard to understand for people trying to learn a different language. So I think personally, I think the internet is more useful for that than books in the library would be for anything like that. And lastly, what are my implications for the future of teaching practices, and including my own reflections on my own language practices? Doing this assignment kind of showed me that we do have a big population of whites in communities. Even in those communities and communities that are more split, I think it's important that we need to be more open to different languages and be open to the idea of learning new languages and trying to be better with that. When I was growing up, they didn't really push it too hard to kind of build that second language. I think now it's becoming more and more important for kids to try to learn their second languages and stuff and make it part of their portfolio and stuff. So for me, I think it's just continuing that to the next generation, would be pushing it even higher to the max of learning that learning a second language or building on that. So yeah, it's different than my experiences, but I think it's important that we continue to build up people's second language acquisition in classes. So yeah, that's my community walk. I'm Carter Kelkofin. Thank you for watching.